Hey guys, today we're going to do a walkthrough of my most recent Blender scene. It's called Upward, and I just wanted to show you guys through it to show you there is an easy mode of Blender, that this isn't hard to make. It's actually quite simple. So yeah, let's get into it. So first of all, I think I'll start with the sky, because that was really the first thing that kind of got me into making this kind of moody blue and orange kind of look. So this is just a simple photo from Unsplash. If you just go into unsplash.com and just look up dramatic sky. It's off a Max Hay tutorial how I got this idea, but so yeah, that's it. Just get a picture of a sky that you think looks cool, and then just run alpha into alpha, color into emission, and then just get the emission strength that works for your scene. And I didn't touch anything else. So that's what that sky is, and it looks good because it's a real picture of a sky. So right now it's very dark because I've got lots of things blocking light from the outside. So if I go back to solid mode, all these bounds things, these things I've just changed them in here to display as bounds. But if I actually, it's just a rock thing from Quicksilver Bridge. I don't even think it does anything right now. It's just to limit the light. Like if I just move that out of the way, yeah, it's not doing anything. It was just to limit the light so that it was just, I could control the light. We've also got these things which I started off with. I'll show some of my earlier renders because my earlier renders focused a bit more on these things. And by the way, all this, like displaying this as bounds or wire or whatever, that's just so I can actually see when I'm, in here. I don't have like big things all around me. So if I actually make that textured, I made it myself. It's very simple, just X, two cubes that I've scaled down and put in an X thing, and then a long pillar. And if I show you what it actually looks like textured, it's very simple. It is literally a picture of a wall, a concrete wall, and then to go into the base color, just made it black with a little bit of gray, and then into roughness was just bringing out the whites because I didn't want it to be too shiny, and just a little bit of bump, and that's it. That very simple. You can't really see it here. I mean, off in the distance there, you can kind of see it, but that's just another small detail. All these details really make the final render what it is. I'll go into the floor next. It's very simple. I had a lot of different variations of the floor, but eventually I realized I wanted something that was a little bit like see-through, showed dramatic, reflective. I don't know. I just think this looked the best out of all my options, and it is literally transmissive, so like glass and white, but the most important thing is the roughness. So without that, it just looks completely reflective. But to add those details, it's a roughness map from Quicksilver Bridge. You just use any picture really that's grungy and dirty, and just put it through a color ramp. And I just brought the black up so it's reflective. I could even bring the white, but it's good how it is. Just adds a little bit of texture to the image. Probably the next most important thing is these curvy things. I don't know what to call them, but yeah, that's the main look of the image. And then I just added edge loops, so that with Control R, so that I could duplicate these things up, so that they could be an extra little bit that sticks out over the edge to add some texture. And then of course that's on top and bottom. And the texturing for the thing in the middle, I don't actually know. I went through a lot of iterations, as you can see. But eventually, I just ended up doing something very, very simple. A black that's a bit rough. That's it. Like, I didn't want it. When I added too much texture, it diverted your eye from the main focus of the image. So I just kind of just kept it black. And that's why it's clean, right? These curves are clean, and so is the the whole image is clean, and then that's why the pipes and the roughness in the glass help to balance that out, because you've got clean on the sides here, and then you've got the grungy, textured kind of stuff to complement it. You don't want it too clean, because I nearly rendered this out without the pipes and the cables, and it just didn't look right. But that just adds that extra level of grunge and helps it not to look too clean and manufactured, Back to texturing, this top bit here is so I had all this, but I just changed it for BSDF with black specular, so it's quite reflective, and a low roughness. That's just it. So it's not fully clear, because if it was like just fully clear, it gets all these weird reflections and stuff, and it's a little bit too distracting. Like the highlights take away from where I want the eye to be, which is on the character. So that's that. And then I just put them in interesting patterns and scaled them to make them more like, tall and long, and then just duplicated them around. They're all the same thing. Now to the focus of the image, which I keep talking about. It is a really low poly photo scan character from an old asset pack that Ian Hubert had on his Patreon. So is the elevator. It's another thing that he modeled for an asset pack on his Patreon. Then you have these cables, which are literally just cylinders with black and metallic. That's it. What else is there to go through? Oh, these pipes. The pipes here are all from a Max Hay asset pack from his steampunk tutorial, just free, and they're a godsend. They're amazing, and I just put them in my asset library. I'll do a tutorial about that, the asset library, later, but yeah, very useful. You just drag and drop them. They're obviously a bit big, but you just scale them down and place them wherever you want. Very, very, very useful. And then the cables I made them using the Geo Cables add-on, where you can just create and edit and choose 2 points, and then you just make cables, and then I just kind of duplicated them around. And then this other little greebly looking thingy is from Ian Hubert as well. So it's just a combination of stuff that I've made and stuff from asset packs, and it's all free. So except for the Patreon, but you spend $7 and you get all of Ian Hubert's assets. It's so worth it. Now let me go through the lighting, because that's also very important. Because a lot of people, I think, light their scenes too much, and then you have to texture extraordinarily well for lots of light to work. So low light just works so much better because you don't see as much, and the details don't have to be as high quality or realistic for it to look good. So what I have here is, of course, the image is giving off some emission. Then I have this is, I don't even know if this is doing much. It's a blue light, just to add some blue in the distance. And then I have, probably the most important light is this one, which is a spotlight, low and, medium-sized spot, and it's just pointing at the camera, and it's orange. So that's what's giving these highlights here. So getting that contrast between the blue and the orange, of course, they're complementary, or whatever it's called, the opposite. So they look good with each other. So that's why I kind of went for this color look, because it just always looks good. And of course, the most important thing probably is the volumetrics, because if I get rid of that, see what it does down here. It just makes it look so harsh and too contrasty. It needs a little bit of fall off and everything, and that's what that fog does. And all that is a volume scatter, very low amount into volume. I don't even know if I touched the anisotropy. It doesn't really matter. I don't even know how to say it. Now, of course, the camera is this is a tip I got off Max Hay in his steampunk render. That video really helped me, so I'll link that. It's a very good tutorial. So instead of having a perspective, I used panoramic, and I just played with these settings. I don't even know what half of them mean, but just played with it to get more wide angle and a little bit distorted, just to make it look not so perfect. I'll make a video about using this soon. But yeah, that's basically the scene. I just wanted to show you guys how easy it is. All I made for this was the curvy things. That was the hardest thing to do, was just to make that look good and the texturing for that. The rest is just knowing how to put things together and how to have a focus and have a direction with the lighting and everything, and all these little tips and tricks so you can get a good looking scene. And the curves, they all point towards the focus. I feel like that what makes the image look so good is all the lines of the image point to the middle of it. I'm rendering at 3840 by 2160, very simple, just 4K, that's it. I use denoise in the viewport, not in the render. Just softens everything in the viewport so you can see without having all the pesky noise. I'm rendering at 1024 samples. I am using the denoising data and the mist pass. So in the compositor, I can run the image through a denoiser, and then I can run the mist pass through the denoiser. I do run both of these through a lens distortion, just a tiny bit. Not sure if it does much, but I've seen other people I like do that, so I do it anyways. I'll explain why I use the mist pass in another tutorial, because that's all about Photoshop. So I hope you guys enjoyed that little walkthrough and inspired you to go make something cool, because it's a lot simpler than you think. Anyways, subscribe, like, and follow me on Instagram, and keep going with Blender.